Hello, children. I'm going to read you one of my favourite wintry sort of stories today. So it's midwinter. We've just had the winter solstice and it's a bit cold around here today. And I've got this book here called Moon Rabbit. Okay. Now, Moon Rabbit is a book written by Natalie Russell. And I like it because it's got these shiny bits of paper on the front. That really appeals to me, especially at this time of the year. I also like it because it's paperback and I can turn it over like this. Little Rabbit liked living in the city. She had her own place to stay, her favourite cafe, and so many things to see and do. So you can see there, she's got the bakery, she's got the grocery, she's got the carrot cafe as well. So there are lots of things. So what do you like to go and look at where you live? I like to go for walks by the river with my dog. And then sometimes I like to get in my car and go to Guildford and have a cup of coffee. But at night, when everything was quiet and Little Rabbit was all alone, she would look up at the moon and she would wonder if there was someone out there. So she would look up at the moon and she'd wonder, is there someone out there? Somebody she could play with, laugh with and have fun with? Someone just like her. It would be nice to meet another little rabbit, she thought. So she sounds like she's a little bit lonely, doesn't she? Have you ever felt just a little bit lonely and wished that you had a special friend, somebody to play with? When the city became very busy, Little Rabbit would go to the park to read her book. That's something I quite like doing. I like to take my book and go and sit somewhere like a cafe or a park and read a book. One night, as Little Rabbit read, she heard the most beautiful music floating on the air. She lay back and she listened. The park was so peaceful and the sun was so warm that Little Rabbit's eyes began to close, and very soon she was fast asleep. There she is. Have you ever fallen asleep outside in a park? When Little Rabbit woke up, the sun had gone and the moon was shining brightly. It was past Little Rabbit's bedtime, but in the distance she could still hear music, and it was the kind of music that she liked. So Little Rabbit picked up her book and she followed the sound through the trees. And I love the way they've done the trees. She followed the sound through the trees and she saw a rabbit, a brown rabbit who was playing a guitar, making music that made Little Rabbit want to dance. So she stayed for a while. So you can see the little brown rabbit playing music. As Brown Rabbit played, Little Rabbit danced. Then Little Rabbit told tales of the city, and Brown Rabbit listened. Together they watched the changing moon until the birds sang to the morning sun. And for a while, Little Rabbit forgot about her life back in the city. So she was enjoying being with a new friend. The two rabbits had picnics in the sunshine and games of hide and seek. They made each other laugh, and Little Rabbit was happy to have found a new friend. So what sort of things do you do with your friends? After we finish this story, you might like to draw a picture of yourself with your friends. But then, one dark night, Little Rabbit saw the city lights glowing in the distance, and suddenly she felt sad. The city is so beautiful, she sighed. Brown Rabbit was quiet. How could anything be as beautiful as the moonlit park, he thought. So little White Rabbit was missing the city, and she thought the city was really beautiful, but little Brown Rabbit really preferred to be in the moonlit park. Brown Rabbit didn't like to see his new friend feeling sad, so he played her his guitar. And he danced around Little Rabbit, and he even stood on his head, anything to make her laugh or to see her smile. But there was nothing he could do to make her happy. It's time for me to go home, said Little Rabbit. So Little Rabbit felt that it was time for her to go home. So early the next morning, Little Rabbit returned to the city. How do you think the Brown Rabbit was feeling? How do you think the Brown Rabbit was feeling after the Little Rabbit went home? So she went back to the city, and you can see she got a taxi, and there she is, back in the city streets, back to her home, back to her favourite cafe, and back to all the things that she liked to see and she liked to do. And she no longer gazed at the moon and wondered if there was someone out there, another little rabbit just like her. So she didn't think about that anymore. She enjoyed being back in the city because she knew that there was somebody out there, and he was coming to visit her the very next day. Isn't that nice? And that's so true, that even if you can't be in the same place as your friend, you can visit them, can't you? Or you can send them messages. So that's such a nice story, isn't it? It's nice to make friends. We can't always be with them, but we can visit them or we can send them messages. Maybe you could do some pictures about your friends, or even you could write a little message to them or make a little card for them as well. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.
For more of Victoria Carlton's tips, go to YouTube and search Victoria Carlton Programs. Victoria's products are available on Teachers Pay Teachers. They cover literacy, emotional intelligence, and Sunday school lessons. Victoria's website address, blog, and email address are on the screen in front of you. Victoria Carlton reserves the right of copyright on all her products.